I believe in speak as much about your as you can.
I absolutely don't.
I do.
I'm fundamentally against the talking about your problems forever and ever, because I really believe that the words you speak become the house you live in. And I really believe that the universe does not understand the word no, and it goes both ways. So it doesn't
1000%.
understand you saying no, and the universe doesn't say no. In the sense of, if I just say, I'm so sick of this, I don't want to feel this way anymore, all it hears is, I want to feel this way more and more and more.
You guys, we're starting. I just want to say, first of all, welcome, Layla.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I cannot tell you. Okay, so before I tell you outside, there's not a lot of women, especially in this world, that I listen to, I look and watch them, who make me think.
Ooh.
You're one of them.
That's one of the nicest things I've ever heard. Thank you.
I swear to you, there's a lot of, people that I watch and I listen to and all that, but you make me think. Do you know how many arguments I have with you? And you're not even in front of me. When I watch your videos, I'm like, oh, hell no. No. And then I have arguments with you in my head, but then you say something and I'm like, damn, I never thought about it in that way. Or it's like, that's exactly how I think. That's exactly what I would say. But I'm more reserved and I don't say it. So the one video that where you catch me, like, I would say my whole body, the whole team was like, oh my God, is when you talked about being a villain in someone's story.
Yes.
If we can put that clip in there for a second so people know what we're talking about.
But I'm also a little on the fence about this, because if someone who has been or is in my life comes and says something to you about me, even if it's negative, I might tell you believe them. Because what did they do to get me to that point? I am absolutely a villain in some people's stories, but people's minds and memories are selective, and they just start to where I became the villain. And I have no qualms about that. I can absolutely be very comfortable being the villain in your story, because I know myself well enough to know I will never wake up and intentionally want to hurt you out of the blue. And even when you hurt me, I will never want to hurt you back. But you best believe I will stand my ground. You will no longer have access to me. And if I come off as cruel, if I come off as a villain, so be it.
When I heard that, I think I watched that video at least 20 times.
It's my most viral video. People really resonated with it, because I think we shy away from being perceived as a villain. And I've spoken with my dad about this many times. It's that if I tell you you did something wrong, or if you recognize that you've done it wrong, your innate instinct is no, 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 because we've been programmed, to believe that if you made a mistake, then your totality is wrong and there's something fundamentally wrong with you, when that's not the case. It's human nature to wrong or to err or to just make a mistake, And we've become, especially on social media, you get canceled. I don't even know what canceled means. Try to cancel me. But they want to just come beat you with it. Wallah, they want to come beat you with a stick. And it's also so easy to talk a big game behind a screen. Like, come say that to my face. And I'm open to so many discussions, but they'll say like, no, cancel her. Oh, she's the worst. Oh, okay, fine. But I just think it's become such a big thing. And then to me, it's like, sometimes you've wronged me, and then it's my reaction that pisses you off. We start at where Layla's reaction is so and she's just horrible and she's a villain. Fine, I'm a villain, so be it. If that's what it takes to help you sleep at night, then so be it. But I'll also add to that, recently as I've grown, I'm also like, people don't hate the right way anymore. You know what I mean? They don't. And it's not even hate, it's hate me with some gusto. Like, say it with your back, say it with your chest. You know what I mean? Nowadays, there's a lot of also like, she did me wrong, but khalas, I'm gonna forgive and forget. No, if I did you wrong, say it with your chest. Let's talk about it. Let's have you know what I mean? But everyone wants to come off as so,
it's like so polite
and politically correct. What do you think?
I mean, I can guarantee you I'm the villain in a lot of people's life stories.
Good evening, sorry for introduction. Welcome to Aura. Would you like to start with some tea or coffee?
Oh, is this part of the...
Yes.
This took me by surprise. I had not seen that coming. I will have an iced Americano.
Okay, for you, ma'am.
Can I just get Do you have decaf?
Yeah, sure.
Can I get a decaf cappuccino with coconut milk?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you so much.
breastfeeding.
This is so surprising.
She's like, what the hell? Aren't you?
What
We're
the hell?
filming? So my thing, and I think this is why I resonate with you in so many things, in so many ways, is I grew up as a refugee kid in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And at home, it was all about Iran. Outside, it was all about Switzerland. So I had to like figure out
The
who I
balance.
am and the balance, right? And I was always misunderstood growing up. I was always the brown girl because we didn't have a lot of people of color. And I became like I have to like prove myself. I have to be tough. And I grew up with two brothers and a Persian dad. My dad was very tough.
Mm.
And my thing is, when it's a European quality, I would say as well, is when I don't like you, you know it right
Okay.
away. I can't hide it. You
Beautiful.
will know if I don't like you.
Yeah.
And another thing is, for me, in order to get better, is you need to be criticized. You can criticize me, but I need to criticize you as well. And I used to do that a lot. And I did it in a way where people didn't ask me and I always gave advice.
Mm.
Right?
So
I changed that.
unsolicited.
Yes.
Okay.
I changed
Okay.
that about me. But if I would see something wrong, I would tell you right away. I don't care if I hurt your feelings or not. I still love you. I'm still there for you. But you did something wrong. Let's talk about it.
Is it if they wronged in general or they wronged you?
In general.
Okay.
In general. I don't care, like, if we do something wrong. If I do something wrong, tell me. I like to change.
Mm.
And because of that, when you tell someone, hey, you did this wrong, and I'm seeing it, they take it like, excuse me, and right away
It's a personal offense.
it's a personal,
Yeah.
exactly, right? And right there, the relationship with that person changes, which is okay. But my thing is, when I have an argument with someone or a fight with someone, I go to your face and I say something.
Mm.
It was so funny. Right before I watched that video, I had a friend and she did me wrong,
Mm.
right? And then she left and told stories that was wrong,
Mm.
right? I saw her and I said to her, hey, listen, if you talk about me, say the right thing. Don't bullshit around because you know what happened. Now, all of her friends, when they see me, they're reserved, like, you know what I mean? Like this and that. I'm like, okay, if you believe that story, that's fine. But ask her what took it for me to react that way.
What she's saying, and hear me out here, is the right story because that's literally how it happened in her mind. Do you see what I
True.
mean? So
True.
that's how people nowadays, there's the let me speak my truth and my reality and all of that crap, but that is in her mind. Because a lot of people, we tend to talk to each other as if everyone is sane, as if everyone is chemically balanced, as if everyone has a higher spiritual purpose and everyone is trying to better themselves, but that's not the case. So unfortunately, in these people's minds, a lot of the time that is what happened, and you are actually that in her mind. She's not actively lying. She really believes what she's saying. And I've spoken about this before, where be wary of the person who, the second you get into a disagreement, they're the first person running around, running their mouth, trying to tell people their version of the story. It's
Right.
because they're so terrified of being perceived as wrong, as at fault, as bad, as evil, that they need to run the narrative before
Right.
you get the chance to.
Right.
Well, meanwhile, you're just chilling. I'm good because you have nothing to prove. So with these people, rather than take it personally, what I do is, in Arabic, I say it, Allah ya'inhum a'a'ilhum, which means they have to live with that mind. They've got enough going on. You're good. I can keep it moving. They have to live with that anxiety and that negativity and that train of thought and that fear and that panic. I can't even relate to what it's like to think that way.
So let me ask you this. When, let's say you and a friend, right? Something happened and that person talks shit about you or talks bad about you, right?
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
At one point, why don't you feel like when someone comes to you and said, well, this is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say I come to you and I say, Layla, I heard this about you. What do you say to me? Do you defend yourself and everything and do you tell them the story and what happened? Or are you going to be like, why do I need to tell you? Believe what you believe.
So I'll tell you a very interesting thing. That never happens to me anymore. When I was younger and people talking and backbiting and all of that, and they'd come spread the word that, oh, I heard 1, 2, 3 is being said about you. the way it affected me, the way it broke and shattered my confidence. I'm talking about 14, 15, 16, 17. That,
Right.
when you're a sponge and you're growing and your brain is developing, it shattered me, destroyed me. And alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, I had my dad around, and because I'm very religious and very spiritual, and I love my God and my Prophet alayhi salatu salam, my dad would tell me, they say worse about God, they say worse about the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, they say worse about Jesus, if you don't want to just tie it to Islam, of all the Abrahamic religions. So he's like, who are you in comparison? And that really humbled me, and it allowed me to not take things personally. Do you know what I mean? But to add to that, just to tell you about how people don't, how do I explain this? People don't have the balls to come up to me and say that anymore, because number one, no one is close enough to me that way where they could come try to rattle me like that. And also, if you think that's a good thing that you're coming to say, I heard 1, 2, 3 about you, obviously it's not. But people don't have the audacity to come say that to me, because I will shut that down real quick. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to take care of my family. I'm trying to give back to Palestine. You think I have time for this? The one time I had someone come do this to me, not even do this to me, I'm going to say do this for me, because it was actually a blessing. She's one of my closest friends growing up in Jordan, and I won't say her name just to respect the privacy. But she, last year, so 2025, my mom's birthday is January 25th. By the grace of God, alhamdulillah, I had an opening and the blessing, and God has blessed me so much, and I was able to buy my mom a BMW. Okay, so I went to Jordan, bought her a BM, surprised her, all of that. And I rarely share these things on social media, just because I believe in ayn and I like privacy and all of that. But it was such an accomplishment that I just took one picture of my mom, and I was like, happy birthday, alhamdulillah, finally was able to buy my mom a car. And it passed. It's a 24-hour story. I went to visit Jordan a couple months later, and that same friend told me, by the way, I was at a gathering, and there was a girl, she's a mini micro wannabe influencer type of thing, and she saw that story and she commented, I hate when rich people act like they did something and it's just like daddy's money. And my friend stood up to her and she's like, you have no idea who and what you are speaking of. That girl couldn't afford and do me 5 years ago. I am witness to like how she built herself up from the ground, and she is, because she's known me since I was 14. And so she relayed the message with, I shut that down real quick, but I just wanted to let you know. And she only let me know because she said, I saw her post a story the next day and say, yesterday I was at a gathering and I was humbled that I was judging someone and someone shut me down real quick. And I just wanted to apologize and let people know, be careful how you judge people on social media. So it was kind of a well-rounded story. Wow. Do you see what I mean? That's the only time someone will come be like, oh, I heard so-and-so.
Now, let's go back to, give a good opening to go back to how you grew up, because I always talk about this podcast is about mindset. It's mindset when it comes to entrepreneurship, mindset of people in general, what they achieved, right? To me, what I have to say, thank you.
I'm not gonna get over this.
Thank you. What my thing is you're very outspoken. With you, I can tell right away who you are. Like, you show me your cards right away, which is a beautiful thing. When I look at you, I'm like, she knows who she is. She arrived, and I feel like, and I wish more people could be like that. Okay,
it's very kind.
How were you always this mindset? Like, were you always this strong? Because look, there's a lot of what you think is out there, but we don't know much about how you grow up and why do you become that person that you are today. That to me is so important.
So it's very interesting being on social media, and alhamdulillah, with the audience I have, I want to be as authentic and as genuine as possible, because at the end of the day, I will meet my God and I cannot meet him a liar. But I'm also very private. It's also not in our culture to really share a lot of personal things. And also, my dad and I have mentioned a few times the struggle in our relationship and the fights and the demons that we've had to battle to get to this beautiful place that we are. That isn't just bestowed upon you. But I love my mom and dad so much and the people that they've grown to be, and I handle their mistakes and their youth and their first-time parenthood with such grace that I don't want to bring up the mistakes that they've done and have that be in their face. Do you know? Because I forgive them for it. They forgive themselves for it. They forgive me for my mistakes, and we've come to such a beautiful point. So why would I dwell in the past? Do you know what I mean? But
if you can go back to your past without really mentioning what you don't want to mention, but like, how did you grow up? How did Layla grow up?
Oof. I grew up in a combination of heaven and hell, if I'm being as transparent as I possibly can be. My father was always this beautiful, gentle, loving, deep, spiritual soul, but he also battled a lot of demons, especially when he went from being almost a billionaire to losing all of his money. My mom was always spiritual, faithful, loyal, eager to impress and to bless you and want to see you be the best, but she a lot of the times went about it in the worst way possible. So and also their relationship, the turmoil in that was horrendous. Like it never should have been what it was. But alhamdulillah, what can I say? They, again, first time parents with their own limitations, with their own demons that they battle. My dad lost both of his parents 4 months apart when he was 28. I'm older than him now. He was an orphan at my age. And we don't really grasp that sometimes, because nowadays we talk about men and we're like, he's almost 30. How does he not have his life together? He should be married, taking care of a family. Or like, we talk a big game, but it's like, you don't know. You just don't know. So the cards that my dad has been dealt, you have to forgive them. So I was raised, they did the best that they could, but they fell short a lot. A lot.
My dad was very tough on us.
Is he still with us?
Yeah, he's still.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
As a kid,
I thought it was like he's gone.
No. He still is alive.
Alhamdulillah.
But he was very tough, and I was like a very rebel. Like
Yes.
I was. My God, I was a horrible child. What the shit that I've done to my parents? Oh my God.
I know.
But my dad was very tough, especially on me, and we didn't have the best relationship. And it took me years, and it took me to be with my husband, for me to be able to see also his side. And I would say about 3 years ago, when I went to Mexico and I did my spiritual retreat, is when I was able to forgive my dad.
Beautiful.
And it changed our relationship. He's still the same person.
Yes.
I changed.
Yes.
But I can see him with different eyes.
Yes.
And it took me 35 years in order for me to forgive him. But not a lot of it. Like, I see other people where they're still blaming their parents. They're in their 40s and they're still blaming their parents. I'm like,
they'll reach their 70s and still blame them.
Yeah, at what point do you want to let it go, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's like, that's why, you really impress me. It's like, what made you sit here now and say that's all they had? I did forgive them. You know what I mean? Like, what was that for you? Because not a lot of people can do that. A lot of people are still blaming their surroundings, their friends, their this and that.
I'll say 2 things about that. Because I recognize that there were times in my life where that's all I had to give. I've made so many mistakes before, so many. And there are people that have had to tell me or just abandon me and go like, I can't take this with me where I'm headed. In the same way that now I have the luxury of saying that, because alhamdulillah, I'm at a great place in my life and I want more and more and more for myself and my family, that there are people where it's like, I'm sorry, I have to leave you where you are in this victim mentality or, and I need to keep it moving. And at some point, people did that to me. And did it hurt? Yes. Did I turn around and go like, they're horrible, they just abandoned me? Of course I did, because I was stupid and immature, but it's the best thing they ever did for me. You know what I mean? So at some point, I recognized that at some point, that's all I had to give. So why do I give myself that grace, but not give the people who gave birth to me that grace? And also, the second thing that I wanted to say is, and this is one of my most controversial opinions, and unfortunately the masses didn't understand it, but the select few did. I owe my parents nothing. Now, did anyone force them to get married and get pregnant and have me? No. You know what I mean? It's a blessing to be able to raise a child, and it was their duty to do the best that they could. But I don't owe them anything. They're the reason I have the luxury to sit and complain that, oh my God, my parents traumatized me. They're the reason you get to be a little victim and play your little violin and amass attention and sympathy. Do you see what I mean? And if I succeed, they're also the reason, because without them, I wouldn't be here. Without the trauma they've bestowed upon me, I wouldn't have the wherewithal to want to do better and be better and take that pain and turn it into fuel and all of those typical things that you hear. So it's like, yeah, you can sit and complain, but if you wouldn't be able to if it wasn't for them.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's a double-edged sword, but like, no, you don't get to play victim.
When did that change? When was that mindset for you, when you were like, what happened in that life of Layla's when you switched?
This was, I think, in 2024. No, 2023. It was when I had stopped being an employee, and it was when I was an employee, sorry, and I was about to quit and start my own company. Around that time, I don't remember if I had quit or not
Right.
yet, but there was someone who was helping us out financially without going into too much detail. My dad had helped them at some point, so they were kind of returning the favor, you know? And at some point, they decided not to return the favor anymore, which was hard, obviously. And you're sending them a message and just being like, "Salam alaikum." I was just wondering if you were sent. It was without going into too much detail. And then I had started making a little bit more money where I was able to now take care of my family, one of the members of my family, and send that money, and they didn't need that person anymore. And I remember, I don't want to cry. I remember I went and made wudu, and I went and prayed, and I begged God. I was crying. I begged him. I was like, I will do anything. I will follow you until the ends of times. I will make sure I speak of you every chance that I get. I'm just begging you, don't ever make my family ask anyone else for help ever again. Like, let me be the one to help them. And since that day, they've never had to ask anyone for help. And anything they need, I will give. And it's so I promised him, and he's kept his promise. So now it's my turn to keep the promise. I'm so sorry. I didn't expect that cry. But that was the day where something in my mind changed. And because God
Wow.
blessed me to help my family, then I was like, he wants me to give back to them. He wants me to take care of them. He wants me to forgive them. He wants me to see them through his eyes. So who am I to say no? Like, if God can forgive you for a sin, how retarded do I look judging you for it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm so sorry, I cried.
Wow.
Sorry. But yeah,
Why?
that was the day, because I remember it so vividly. That was the day.
Wow.
Yeah. Ooh, alhamdulillah.
But look at you now.
You're gonna just see a white streak. The makeup is gone.
Wow, but
Ooh,
look how freaking powerful that is.
alhamdulillah.
Damn.
Yeah. And imagine if
Wow.
I stuck to my victim mentality. Imagine if I was like, no, let me stay in this comfort zone of blaming everyone. Imagine it was a split-second decision that changed my life. So I'm so strict with people, and they go like, you lack empathy, you lack whatever. People don't know the hell that I've been through. I just don't talk about it because I don't need to talk about certain things that I've been through.
But I think it's also important. I mean, I don't want any detail, whatever, but I feel like, even for me, watching your videos and, talking to you, like I came
Oh,
outside and I'm telling you, your energy comes through the screen. Okay. It's like, whoa. And then meeting you in person, I'm like, damn, like that is her. Like I said
alhamdulillah.
to my producer Dia this morning, I
Idea.
said, there's a lot of people who do videos for what is it called? Clickbait, right?
Oh,
Clickbait
yeah,
videos,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Layla is one of the few ones that that's who she is and that's how she thinks,
Alhamdulillah.
right?
Alhamdulillah.
You bring that on. But to me, it's like important. And that's why I do this podcast. Look, I have my own company, I have my own skincare and beauty brand. And thank
You have a
God.
skincare brand?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna invest in that.
And thank God it's like, we're successful, but it took a
Alhamdulillah.
lot of time. Like
Mm,
I recorded my whole journey from the beginning till now. Because hopefully one day it will be a documentary because I want to show
I love
the
that.
real struggle
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
entrepreneurship. And a lot of people don't understand, even being in that podcast game, even being in that game that you are, to be able to have that mindset is a lot. People don't understand what it takes to sit here and be able to say, I can support my family. We
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. Maybe you grew up as a rich person. We don't know, but I can guarantee it wasn't that way. I want to know, like, you know, you grew up in, okay, I grew up with a lot of Palestinians. You have Palestinian and you have Jordanian,
So
right?
I'm Palestinian Jordanian. The Palestinians who left in the 40s, I think, and got the Jordanian. I don't really know how I have the Jordanian passport, but by the grace of God, I have it. So ignore anything I said. But I'm originally Palestinian, but I also say Jordanian because my passport's Jordanian. I was born in Jordan. My family's in Jordan. It's where my mom owns a house. It's where my grandparents own a house. I love our king and queen. Like, I love Jordan with all my heart. I'd go to war for Jordan. Do you know what I mean? So I love it. I love Palestine and I love Jordan just as much. So I don't, and I've never, ever, this is something that I say all the time, alhamdulillah. And then Tucker Carlson did an interview in Jordan, and I was like, this is what we've been screaming. I've never been made to feel you're not Jordanian, you don't belong here. We've never had an issue between Muslims and Christians. It is a beautiful place to grow up. It's just, it was.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, you have that Palestinian attitude. And I say it in the most positive, beautiful way. Every Palestinian woman that I know is a freaking warrior.
Alhamdulillah.
What got you, or how can you explain to me the way that you got to where you are today? Because congratulations on your launch.
Thank you.
The sunglasses,
Alhamdulillah.
right?
Eyewear. So
Eyewear,
yeah.
okay.
Glasses and sunglasses.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Tell me about that real quick. Like, how did you get into launching your own eyewear?
So when, alhamdulillah, when my audience started growing and the podcast was going viral and I'm gaining more and more followers on Instagram, the entrepreneur and the survivalist in me was saying, I should do something with this. God gave me something. Let's do more and more and more, you know? But I really heavily prayed on it because I didn't want to be just another influencer brand, for lack of a better word. And I wanted the brand to speak for itself. So I'm medically blind in my left eye. And I rarely ever wear glasses because I go to look and I'm always like, if only it was just a little thicker, a little this, a little that. And then I was like, oh my God, I could just make my own glasses. So I spoke to my dad about it. And then he also spoke about how finding the factory and finding the team and finding anything before we start any project, my dad sat and prayed on it for a week. And then the second factory we spoke to was the one. And alhamdulillah,
Wow.
it's been such a blessed experience. It's been a year and a half in the making. And then so we spoke about this outside, but one of the money is not my God. I will make that abundantly clear. I do not worship money. I don't give a crap about money. Money is great. I want to make money, love a luxury life, but I do not worship money. And I want to use money for good. So that's very important to me. So I created the luxury brand because the more money I make, the more I'm able to give back. And inshallah, first or second day of Ramadan, we're announcing a giveaway and we're going to be doing constant giveaways. I want to pay people's rent. I want to gift people a car. I want to, Fadi has the Giving Family and Umrah for labor workers. I want to send labor workers to Umrah. You know what I mean? I want to feed. I want to, everything that I can do to give back, I will do. So I love my luxury lifestyle. I want to travel first class and stay in 5-star hotels. Hurra. I'm not shy about it. I love it. I love it. But I also want to give back as much as I can. So there's two things I want in life. My life to be a vacation and to help as many people as I can. And I'm so not shy about it. This whole concept of, I just want to give back and money means nothing. No, money is power. Having a voice and giving back, it means a lot.
It's important.
It's so important.
It's so important. I was saying to you outside, I was like, we need you to be big and famous and successful and rich and all that, because you are going to be one of the people who has a voice for the Palestinian, right?
Inshallah.
So when I look at you and I'm like, oh, wait, she has all these amazing followers. She is an amazing entrepreneur. She's making money. She's traveling and all that. Thank God. Oh, wait a second. Oh, she's Palestinian. What does it mean to be a Palestinian? What is that? Because we have we're so westernized where we don't, know much about Palestine. Or I was telling you outside, not a lot about, the Middle East in general. A lot of my friends, before I grew up in Switzerland and LA, before I moved to Dubai, a lot of my LA friends said to me, but if you move to Dubai, like, you have to wear the hijab, you don't have any rights, you don't have this and that. And it's sad because they don't know better, right? Because we don't show the other side. And I said to them, I said, that's not how it is. I can walk outside at 3 a.m. knowing nothing is going to happen to me.
I know.
Back in LA, I would walk around with knives.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Crazy. I was telling you outside, my best friend in America, I'm just not going to say where she is. I'd like her to not get deported, even though she has an American passport. But she always says, because long story short, she just calls America a third world country and a fake Gucci belt. Because it is. It is. And I've told you this outside. I'm sorry, but America is not the center of my universe. Right. My life doesn't revolve around America and American politics and American political correctness. And no, it doesn't. The center of my universe is God and the Prophet ﷺ. So I just don't care about anything else. I really don't.
How can I picture Layla as a child? Because were you always like this ballsy?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Straight out the womb. Straight, I will tell you, hand to God, straight out the womb. and I should I have said straight out the vagina? Would that have been better? Like, you have a daughter now.
Yes.
You can sense a little bit the personality. Like, she's softer. My mom has a very interesting story. My mom was a very meek, fragile, reserved, conservative, young Arab woman,
Right.
back in the day. And when she gave birth to me, she always tells me this. She was like, it was the first night in the hospital and I have you in my arms. And without airing her family's dirty laundry, but she's the youngest of 3 sisters and they were very disappointed I was not a boy. But my dad was over the moon happy that I was a woman, because in Islam, raising a daughter is just, the gates of heaven are open to you. You know what I mean? And my mom had me in her arms and she was like, I'll never forget it, especially now that I'm successful and she's so proud of me and like she reveres me and just goes like, I can't believe everything you've done, alhamdulillah. She'll say, you were in my arms and I remember looking at you and saying, awilta shamate akhirta hasude. My Arabic is not the best, unfortunately, but it's something along.
Isn't that jealous?
Yes.
Jealousy, right?
So she said at first shamate, it means like kicking you when you're down. So she was like, your first day on this earth was people going like, ugh, not a boy. But she was like, the end, when it will continuously turn into people envying you and envying you and envying you. And she was like, and now she'll tell me, she'll be like, God put it in my heart. I said it to you in my arms. And she'll always repeat it to me now. And alhamdulillah, So I came out the womb pretty strong-headed. But you know how I was telling you 14, 15, 16 and being bullied and certain things? I distinctly remember a phase of my life where I was weak, I was insecure, I was so easily affected by people's words and actions. But my best friends from high school now will come back to me and be like, I always knew you'd be this. And I remember being in high school and the few people who really believed in me go like, you belong on television, you belong here, and they'll come back and be like, you've always been this. I've always known you'd do this. And they'll be like, I remember in high school when you'd give me advice, when this is how you'd speak. So I trust them when they say that this is how I've always been. They're the select few that I really trust when they say this is how I've always been.
And now that you receive that, now that you are in that position where everyone is telling you that you're going to be, how does that feel?
I don't care.
You don't care about it?
No, I don't. Because Georgia O'Keeffe has a saying that says something along the lines, I have already settled it for myself so that flattery and criticism go down the same drain and I'm quite free.
Ooh.
Yeah. So if I'm telling you I don't let criticism get to me, but I'm telling you I let flattery get to me, then the equation is off. So I don't care. It's humbling. It's alhamdulillah always. So you criticize me, alhamdulillah. You flatter me, alhamdulillah.
But I'm guessing it backfires a lot when you speak your truth, when you say your opinion, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I love
see it
it.
in my personal, really?
I do.
Why?
Because it just shows you how masakeen people are. It's so, it really, if you think I look at it like, oh, you're so stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. No, I feel really bad for a lot of people. I feel really, my heart goes out to people who don't see truth, who don't face uncomfortable realities, who don't wake up to certain things. We were talking outside about how certain things are distractions. The people who are so easily distracted, your heart goes out for them. They don't know better. And sometimes the better is screaming at them, please see me. And they just don't want to see it. And my dad taught me at a very young age, not everyone is meant to be awakened. Not everyone is meant to spiritually ascend. Not everyone is meant to see the light. Not everyone is meant to break their ego. So you have to love them and forgive them for their limitations. That doesn't just apply to your parents.
When you do your videos, when you have a podcast and you do recording and all that, before you press, public, do you look at it, you think about it, you're like, maybe I shouldn't be doing that?
Not even a little bit. No, I've said some crazy things on my podcast. I have said some wild things on my podcast and I stand by every single one.
So you don't look back. Now, let's say you said something like 3 years ago that you thought of, and now you're thinking a different way. Like, you don't look back and you're like,
I do.
No,
I don't do that. But I have changed my mind about a lot of things. Not changed, evolved. I have. I always say I evolve my opinion all the time. Because to start my podcast 2 years ago and 3 months, something like that, 2 years and 2 months, to start it in 2 years and 2 months ago, and then to tell you today that nothing has changed. I
It would
refuse
be
to
a lie.
grow. I refuse to evolve.
Right.
I would be stupid. Stop listening to me.
Right.
You have to. There are things that I stand by because as far as I'm concerned so far, this is the truth that I know. This is what my Prophet ﷺ asks of me. This is what is required of me by God. I stand by it. But I've evolved a lot.
But when, for example, like you're very like, a modern woman and, you speak your truth and all that, I'm sure there's a lot of Muslim women who come to you and say, well, if you're really Muslim, then why are you not wearing hijab? Why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? Right? I
You
mean,
want my honest
it
answer?
says in the Quran. Look, I will be the last person who would talk to you about the Quran because I don't know much about it. But what do you say to these women who come to you and say, well, you speak a big game about, being a Muslim and all that, but why are you walking around not being married, going alone and traveling, not wearing hijab? What do you say to them?
Ugh. I don't really answer them. It doesn't really scratch even the surface of anything when I read things like that, because the hijab is a very personal experience that is between you and Allah. I am a Sufi as well, so it's always about the inner journey. Also, I'm not the poster child for Islam, never claimed to be. So, that's very strange to me if you want to make me the poster child of Islam. Very strange to me. But also, I'm talking to a wider audience. I have a lot of Christian and Jewish followers. A lot. And a lot of agnostic followers who just believe in God but don't really have a sense of direction. Alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, thousands of people have reverted to Islam thanks to the podcast. But I also have a lot of DMs of, I'm Christian or I'm Jewish or I'm so and so, but you just helped me build a relationship with God again. And my dad says this on the podcast all the time. We're not here to make you Muslim. Find God in any capacity, because God in any capacity is life changing. If you are a Muslim, alhamdulillah, I love it. Obviously, the more the merrier. But I'm not here to revert people. It's just by being the way I am that people have been attracted to it and wanted it, But also, I don't know if I should say this because it's a conversation that I've had in private, but I'll say it. I don't want to alienate a lot of women. And I think by looking a certain kind of way, and it's not to take credit from a lot of women who wear the hijab, that's between them and their Allah. But a lot of people come and they see, oh, she looks like me. You know what I mean? But I'm quite modest, and I lean even more and more and more towards modesty every day. And I want people to go like, wow, she wears makeup, she has a life, she owns companies, she dresses modestly, and she's in serving her Allah, and I could do that. And if I have to make that sacrifice not to alienate more and more people coming towards Islam, then I'll take it. And I've prayed on it. And I have spoken to my God. People don't know what I do. You don't know what I do in private. But I prayed to my God and I was like, I might be wrong, but help me. I might be wrong, but help me. And if this is the sacrifice that I need to make so that more and more women gravitate towards us, and even Western men, and just help me. So you don't know what I'm doing. Also, to the people talking a big game and talking smack behind the screen, thousands of people have reverted to Islam thanks to my podcast. What are you doing? I would like, show me receipts. Show me your receipts. I'd like to see what you're doing. It's just, everyone has something to say. I'm sure you've gotten a few negative comments. I'm sure you have.
I never got one negative comment. Excuse you? No, of course.
Not one. Not one.
Not one, ever. I mean, my negative comments is more in my personal stuff, but no.
Let them.
But look, it took me a lot. I would lie if I would sit in front of you and say, I don't care. I don't care.
About what? About people's negative comments?
No, not just about the comment, but like, this is my life and this is who I am. And, it was funny. I said to my husband many times, like, I used to say, like, I don't care what people think of me. I don't care. But deep inside, I would care. You know what I mean?
What about now?
No. And
What
you know when?
changed?
It changed when I got pregnant.
Subhanallah. Before you gave birth, when you felt like your baby inside of you. Wow.
When I became pregnant and I knew the moment I knew it was going to be a girl, I said to myself, I just received, thank God, everything that I always wanted. My own bestie, my own person that I only care about what she thinks of me, And,
that's beautiful.
I hope one day you can experience, motherhood. It's the most lonely experience I've ever had. And I say it in the most beautiful way. When I'm sitting with my daughter and I'm breastfeeding her and I look at her and she looks at me and it's like, That's all I need. That's my world right now. That's all, because my whole life I try to convince people and show people that I'm a good person.
Mm.
I try to say that no, I'm this and I don't want this, and I'm to the point where I'm like, I am making myself sick to make you feel good.
Trying to please others. Yeah.
I'm not going to do that anymore.
Mm.
I'm okay. You're not paying my bills. You don't knock on my door and say, "How are you? Are you okay?"
Mm.
I don't need it.
Mm.
My husband said to me, and that's what I've learned in a hard way, having no expectations. I used to have so much expectation towards, like, like when you're like, but I did this for you and I did that for you, and you expect it to come back to you. That's when I changed. So my husband, now, what was it, like a few years ago, one of my close friends called me and she said to me, Lyda, I need you to lend me money. I said, of course, but let me tell my husband so he knows that I'm giving you the money. So I tell him, I said, hey, this and this person needs $1,000. Is it okay for you if I give it to her? He said, I'm okay with that. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, why shouldn't be? It's one of my best friends, of course. He said, no. Are you okay with giving her the money and never receiving it back?
Yes.
Are you okay with it? And I said, but it's my money. Like, why shouldn't she give me my money back? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You have expectation. If you're okay with giving that money, never receiving it back, and it will never hurt your friendship, go ahead.
That's beautiful.
That to me was the first time when I understood what it means to have any expectation or no expectations.
Yes.
And that's when I started to change.
Yeah. So it's really interesting because the thing your husband taught you, alhamdulillah, good job, husband, is the way my dad would describe it is, are you giving for God or are you giving for your ego? You know, so that's how I was raised as well.
Yeah.
It's if you give and you do good, is it because you want to be revered and you want to be admired and you want to be applauded? Or is it because God put you in a position to help and so you're going to help without expecting anything in return? And that obviously altered my brain chemistry. And then in terms of pleasing people, it's so interesting. So listen, you get to it whenever you get to it. You got to it at a different age when you were pregnant with your child. But alhamdulillah, you got to it. Imagine not getting to it.
Right.
In my case, it was, there's something about an empty fridge and the water and lights being turned off in your house and having no one to call that'll remove the people-pleasing tendency real quick. Real quick. It'll evaporate in a millisecond. So
Right.
after going through that, after seeing my mom cry because we hadn't eaten in 2 days, I was like, screw these people. Just don't care. Just don't care. So people go through it. Some people go through that. I went through that at 25, literally. Some people have gone through that at 15. So it depends on the card that you've been dealt and the cards
Right.
that you've been dealt, excuse me. And you get to it when you get to it. And some people never get to it. So we're luckier than most. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God, for sure. For sure. But look, I went through all that as well, where Robin and I didn't have anything to eat. Back in LA, we're going after our dreams. We had nothing to eat. I was like, you know what I mean? Like, no one is helping me. But it's still, again,
You still had that.
I still had that.
Again, you get to it when you get to it.
Exactly.
Subhanallah. You
Yeah.
know? To me, that was the breaking points. But I don't know. Maybe it's because you had your husband. I don't know. But God wanted you to experience that with the pregnancy of your daughter.
Right.
And I think that also, I'm very. I don't like when people go like, oh, when you're pregnant, anything you do doesn't affect the child. That's insane to me. That is insane to me. So when you were pregnant and having that realization with her in your womb, I think that also
1,000,000%.
in her DNA is embedded, you know?
1,000,000%.
So I have a feeling, talk to me in 20 years, she doesn't care about what people think about her.
Oh, for sure.
I have a feeling.
How do you feel when you say out loud, 1,000 people converted into Islam because of your podcast? Do you feel like you have a responsibility?
A responsibility, yes and no, because there's limitations to that. Once again, I'm human. I'm not perfect. And it's the same way like we idolize celebrities and if they make a mistake, it's like, you have young people watching you. Why are you idolizing people online? Do you know what I mean? I should be able to say something that's so out of pocket to you, the viewer, and you should be able to scroll on by and not be affected. Does that make sense?
Right.
If you are so viscerally affected by someone you've never met, something is fundamentally wrong with you, be it in a positive way or negative way. I think I'll lean more towards the positive because there are things I see online that are so positive, and I'm like, I needed that, you know? But don't let anything affect you negatively. That's insane to me. Guys, I see a lot of crazy things online. You think I care? Do you think it like affects my day? No. So
What does affect your day? What would you say affects your day?
my family, the wellness of them, they're them being okay. Me being able to provide for them being able to ask for anything and me being able to give it. But before that, my God, if I slack off on my prayers, or that's the only thing that'll affect my day. Anything else can sing until the cows come home. I don't care. I mean it. I just don't.
What got you to your fame?
What do you mean? Like my podcast?
Yeah, like how did you become who you are today? What is Layla's story?
Oh, well, I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again. I'm happy to. So after October 7 and the genocide that's taking place in Gaza in Palestine, um, Meta. I always call them out. They're gonna ban me at some point. I swear to God, they're gonna cancel my Instagram. But they basically had a meeting, a panel with all the influencers in the region, and they did a whole we're going to discuss the safety and community guidelines. They basically just gaslit us into believing that, oh, Meta's on the side of Palestine. I'm like, you guys are lying. But also the employees there, they were literally Syrian, Palestinian, Lebanese, Jordanian. So I can't fault them, you know what I mean? And also, I don't want them to get fired. Make your money, go home and take care of your family. I'm never going to get in the way of that. But I basically took the microphone and gave them a piece of my mind, respectfully, of course. And because I'm in a room full of influencers, someone filmed me and then they posted it on their story the next day. Mind you, I had like 600 followers. I just went public to share things about Palestine. And I started getting a few followers, a few messages, and I was like, where's this coming from? I saw he posted a story. I was like, yo, send it to me. Let me post it as a reel. I posted it. It went viral. One of my ex-influencers, bless his soul, Sean Shidiak, my parents are divorced, the comedian. We had a meeting, we just went for coffee, and he was like, Layla, when I was in that room, you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was just listening to what you were saying. Go into a studio, start recording. Called my dad and I told him, Sean said 1, 2, 3, should I book a studio? He's like, book it, let's go. Everything started going viral since then, and then I just since then.
So the video goes viral.
Yeah.
You get all these followers. Sure, you got a lot of hate.
No.
You didn't?
No, that video it was all the Palestinians and the American activists and American celebrities on the side of Palestine just sharing it and liking and commenting. I gained about 3,000 or 4,000 followers, 4,000 or 5,000, something like that.
Right.
And then it's when my videos started going viral, like that's when the followers started to grow.
Right.
Mm.
And how is that? I mean, you have a great audience, right?
I do have a great
support.
Audience. Yeah, they're lovely.
You know what I mean? Your videos are being like that video that I love was shared like what was how many like 250,000 times was shared. That's insane.
Yeah,
the number is insane. You know what I mean? I mean it's an achievement. You know what I mean? It's not just like how great is it that thank God and I want you to have billions of more that you can make money with just being you. Your authentic you.
I don't make money off my podcast.
No, but with that, you're able to make money. You see what I'm saying?
I don't make money with my podcast.
No, but what I'm saying is like you're able to have your own sunglasses and open the doors.
The sunglasses, yes. But I launched my companies and made money before. But actually, I'm glad you brought this up because this was a little bit of a sour spot for me. Because I'm so Palestinian and so Muslim, brands wouldn't touch me.
Wait, what?
I don't make money off my podcast. Like up until the glasses,
right?
I don't make money off my podcast. Like my YouTube's monetized, sure, but I make like 1,000 dirhams, maybe 600, 700.
Yeah, at least.
And I know Spotify is like an iffy subject, but I'll give Spotify Middle East some credit. They're the only people who've invested in me. They love the podcast. They really want to push it.
Oh, that's amazing.
They're the first people after 2 years and 2 months to reach out and go like, I love what you're doing. We love this Muslim community. We want to give it more and more.
Oh, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. Okay, wait. So then how are you making money? Before the sunglasses?
Oh, I own an agency, an influencer management agency. I manage influencers in the GCC. They're the best girls. I love them to bits and pieces. They're the best.
How did you get into that and when did you start doing that?
So you remember how the story that I was telling you about when I was an employee / just started my agency? When I was an employee, I was a talent manager at an agency. And then less than a year into it, I was like, I could do this for myself. Also, the owner of that company was a devil from hell sucking on the teat of Iblis. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Oh God, may Allah forgive him. He really was an atrocious man. He really was. I'm so sorry. He was. And so then I was like, I could do this for myself. And God bless my influencer. She left the agency with me. We just developed such an attachment to each other, and we really achieved so much together that she's like, I'll follow you to the ends of the earth. And it's her taking that chance on me that just opened all the doors. And I am a adamant believer in pay credit where credit is due. So if it wasn't for my influencer who left with me and took a chance on me, I don't know what would have happened.
Right.
So yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
How do you feel that you're not being supported by the brands because you're so outspoken? Isn't it a little bit sad?
It is, but also, you know what? It depends on the brand, because obviously a lot of these agencies who represent a lot of these brands were really good friends over the years, because I've been doing this for 4 years now. And they're fans of the podcast and so and so. But for example, they work with my influencers for makeup, for skincare, for whatever. It doesn't really align with my aesthetic. So I also understand that, you
Right.
know? And I'm also grateful because I don't want anything to influence what it is that I say and how I say it.
Right.
And by the grace of God, I don't need the money, so I can say what I want, how I want.
So
You
now
know?
that you have that agency, I'm curious to know, because with all the AI and all that, like as you know, an
AI is
expert,
crazy.
what do you think it's going to change for the influencers?
I have
What do you
no idea.
see?
I have no idea, because I saw a video yesterday of this hunkalicious man, okay? But I saw him and I was like, you look not real. Like, I was like, this is too.
Too good to
And
be
then
real.
I went on the page and it is AI.
Mm.
And then I saw this divine woman. And then I was like, oh my God, this is an AI podcast. And then me and this other podcaster from Texas, his name is Augustine. He works in cybersecurity. He owns a cybersecurity company. And we found each other on social media and started following each other. And he has his podcast and I have mine. And he keeps sending me this girl and he's like, this is AI. They're coming for our throats. But I don't think it'll ever replace people, ever.
I think people who have a personal brand like you do, I think it's going to be hard. But I think for, all these influencers who are just like following the trend, I think that's going to be hard. I feel like people are now going towards being authentic. They want to follow people who are authentic, who have their own thoughts and their own mind. They create their own viral moment instead of like following everyone else. That to me, yes, I don't think you can replace that.
I agree, but I think I'll add to that. I think it's going to be harder for up and coming influencers or people who have a dream of being a content creator. The ones who are already established have already built their personal brand over the years.
Right.
So yeah, they follow trends. And maybe I'm biased because I'm speaking about my personal influencers. Yeah, they follow trends because it's content. You're smart if you follow a trend
Right.
and capitalize off of it, but they have their signature mark on everything. Every single one stands out for something, and their followers follow them for that something. And I don't think that's replaceable. But I think it's going to be harder for up and coming people because you need to stand out. What is it that you have to offer that's different?
What kind of influencers do you have? Because, I hear that all the time. It's like, with the influencers, like they don't trust influencers anymore. It's like today you like this brand, tomorrow you like that brand. You know what I mean? Like, where do you see the trust going?
I think don't trust anyone on social media, just in general. Wallahi, even me, like, why would you trust me fully? You don't know me. I could be a serial killer. I could. You don't know what I dream of. You don't know what I think of at night. You don't know what demons plague my mind. How could you? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you trust you? They even tell you, like, when you get married, you could be married to someone for 10 years and then suddenly realize oh my God, he's been keeping people in the basement. She's been keeping people in the basement. You don't know. So to just see someone online and develop this like paranormal relationship with parasocial, wow, paranormal, this parasocial relationship with them and just be so attached and trust them with your life, that's insane. That's actually crazy. We need to look into that. But I think take everything you see online with a grain of salt, you know? I watch certain things online, certain comedians or influencers, because sometimes I just want to just be happy. You know what I mean? Show me this new lip gloss. Talk to me about this new matcha. Yeah, you know what I mean? Wallah. You know? Oh, it's a kitten following a little laser light. Yes, give me more. Sometimes it's just what I want. You know what I mean? So I think take it with a grain of salt. Uh, and when you talk about like influencers, oh, one day you like this brand, one day you like that. But I am like that. One day I want to use my Fenty lip liner. The next day I want to use my NARS lip liner.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I am like that. I have so many different makeups in my kits. So many. And I change them I change my lip routine every day. So I think that's also part of life.
When I watch your videos and when I talk to you, like, you're very strong headed. Like, you know what you believe, you know what you're saying. Is it hard for people to convince you? Would you say, do you have an open mind when you speak to someone? Would you say, no, when I think that this is what I think? Or are you open to a bigger conversation where someone can, like, perceive you, or make you think differently?
I'm a lot more open now than I was, but I had this conversation with my neighbor and one of my closest friends, Sally. I think at the time when I was so strict and there was like, Khalas, you cannot change my mind, it's because I was living life with a certain ideology and a certain way of thinking and a certain pattern of behavior that was detrimental to my soul. I was attracting the wrong people being men and women. I wasn't making money. I wasn't and I wasn't. So Einstein's definition of insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Right.
And I don't and have never subscribed to a victim mentality. So rather than blame every Tom, Dick, and Harry for my lack of well being, I took things into my own hands, matters into my own hands, and had to fundamentally change the way I was behaving, the things I was allowing to transpire into my life. And because it was a do or die situation, I had also launched my companies and I had to be so strict with being disciplined in this new way of thought so that I could see some real change. And so it served me while it did. But now that I'm so sure in who I am and I understand what works and what doesn't, I can be open to listening to you or anyone else or whomever without it affecting me. But I think it's because I was in such a fragile state that I couldn't risk someone changing my mind. I had to be disciplined and follow through on the promise I made to God. Does that make sense?
Right, 1000%.
But now I know what I like and what I don't like. I know what's right and what's wrong. That, yeah, of course I'll have conversations and I'll have very respectful ones. By the way, people think that it's so interesting because people talk a big game online, like as I've said many times, and then they'll be like, oh, you talk with such a lack of empathy or you're so judgmental. One of my best friends in Jordan goes to therapy and takes psychiatric drugs. They are the two things I am so against. And I've spoken about it a million times. I do not believe in therapy. I do not believe in.
If someone is mentally struggling or going through something,
Yeah.
how would you say that person, if not going to therapy, how could that person change their life?
So on my podcast, I say there are different strokes for different folks. I understand this. And not everyone wants a relationship with God or has a spiritual tendency and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, this is what I have, like, this is the limitation of what I have to say and do. There are people who my podcast has saved them out of the trenches, you know? And I always say, God, because I'll get a lot of comments of, I didn't have a dad like yours, from men and women. So I don't have that support system, that someone to talk to. I'm all alone in this world. So I'll say, if my podcast, for example, isn't enough for you,
Right.
you can go watch Dr. Omar Farouk Al Abdullah, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. The internet has given you scholars who are so wise and so
Right.
beautiful and so accomplished, and hours upon hours upon hours of footage about love, about life, about work, about relationships with your parents, with your siblings, with your children, with so on and so forth. You also have Gabor Mate, who's not strictly speaking from a Muslim lens. It's just that get out of the laziness and go watch them.
Right.
And write it down and study it and want to do better.
But what's the difference between watching, for example, an hour of Layla,
Yeah.
or paying someone an hour to speak about their problems?
Oh,
What's
this
the
is my
difference?
favorite question. The difference is you're listening to someone else and you're not just literally ruminating in your problems for an hour,
Right.
talking about thyself. What could be more egotistical and detrimental to you?
I'm gonna push back on that one.
Please do. This is the one thing people like to push back on. Please do.
No, not just that I like, but again, I love learning. That's why I'm doing the podcast with other people, because I want to learn, and For me, it's like this. In order to change, you have to realize what your problem is.
Sure.
Right? So if I don't have, for example, let's say we're friends and I come to you and I speak to you, right? You open the door, you listen to me, and then you give me your opinion.
Did you ask for it?
Most of it,
Sure.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you help me, we change, you help me see different or whatever. The difference is I'm not paying you because you're a friend. Now, there's certain things that I believe that you don't want to share with the people that you know because you feel a certain way, you're ashamed, you're whatever. So you feel like
Valid.
in that room, because I'm paying you, I can be open and I can talk to you, and you're judging me, but you're not showing me, but I feel like comfort, right? So to me, it's like I believe in therapy.
Okay.
Because I've seen it with a lot of people, and I see that a lot of changes that happened where they didn't change before they had therapy. So now I go to that person, I speak, I believe in speak as much about your as you can.
I absolutely don't.
I do.
That's
Okay?
that's so I just to put a side note into this, like I immediately vibed with you. Do you know what I
Oh, for
mean?
sure.
But we can disagree on
Oh,
something
million
and
percent.
still have a great relationship. And I think people need to learn this.
A million. Oh my God.
Like it doesn't have to be disrespectful. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
1000%. So
But yeah,
that's what
go
I'm
ahead.
saying. It's like, it's like, but there's other people that I see like they're going to therapy for like 20 years. I'm like, damn,
it's
like
not
you haven't changed, or maybe therapy is not the best for you, right?
I understand.
My therapy, I don't pay people to go and speak. My therapy that I realized is gym. I need to go work out.
Same.
If I don't work out, you can't be around me because
Same.
I go crazy. Because I'm very ahead person. Like I think and I have thoughts and whatever that I need to release.
I
And I can
understand.
only release if I work out. But then there's other people that I'm like, because you're going to therapy, I'm seeing the shift. Because you're able to speak 1,000 times about the same over and over to the point where you get disgusted. You're like, okay, I'm done.
I understand where you're coming from, but I still disagree. Now, has it worked in some cases for some people? Sure. But the exception doesn't negate the general rule. Does that make sense? So you said about just two things. You said when you were talking to a friend, but you're not paying me. Sure. I really think the fact that therapists are financially motivated is a part of the conversation. Like if no one's going to them anymore.
Right.
How do they make their money? So they do have a financial incentive to keep you coming. It's just the way it is. Do you know what I mean? And what else? Oh, I'm fundamentally against the talking about your problems forever and ever. Fundamentally to my core against it, because I really believe that the words you speak become the house you live in. And I really believe in the power of ruminating and just talking about your problems. And I really believe that the universe does not understand the word no, and it goes both ways. So it doesn't
1000%.
understand you saying no, and the universe doesn't say no, in the sense of, if I just say, I'm so sick of this, I don't want to feel this way anymore, all it hears is I want to feel this way more and more and more. So to talk about my problems, and this is just my personal experience, I remember I had a friend and we had become super, super close, and I had shared something with her that had happened to me when I was a child that very, very few people in this world know. And she was shocked. She was like, I had no idea you'd been through something like that. And we went out to dinner and she asked me about it. And I know it came from a place of care of, I want to know this traumatic experience you'd been through. When I tell you, excuse my French, but it f***ed me up for a week, because I don't talk about these problems anymore. Because I have the belief that this was 12-year-old Layla's problem. It doesn't belong to me anymore. God has brought me out of the trenches. I'm a different woman, and I'm still aspiring to be a better and better version of myself. And just talking about it and remembering it just put me in a state of just a little bit of negative. It's like when you watch a sad movie, you feel a little heartbroken for 2 days, and then, we move on. So I'm against that.
But my thing is also like, first of all, I believe in like the whole, universe and the no and all that. 1000%. I agree with you. But there's people out there that, for example, if we've known each other, let's say for 20 years.
Sure.
And I say something to you, but you don't see that. Now, and we all know, oh my God, Layla, if you would just see that, if you could change that, your life would change so much in a positive way. Now, I go to a therapist and that therapist tells me one time, and I'm like, oh, you're right. and suddenly it's changing my whole world.
Yeah, but that's not the general rule, once again. Do you know what I mean? Because I also believe in the power of planting a seed.
Right.
Yeah, so my dad raised me to be the way I am. It took 25 years for the seed to be planted. So your willingness to change, you just happen to be at the therapist, or you happen to be sitting with you having shisha,
Right.
and the moment clicked.
Right.
So I believe in the power of planting a seed. You know what I mean?
But then maybe the therapist is the one who planting the seeds.
But is again, so here's the thing. It could be the therapist planting the seed, but is it that you happen to be open in that moment, yes or no? Because a lot of, like you said, people go to therapy, it works, people go to therapy, it doesn't. But it's, I think, the person's willingness to be open and listen. And
Right.
then it's at the moment that it transpires. I still stand by, I don't think we should be going to therapists. Does it work in a few cases? Sure. Bless you. You want to go to therapy? Go ahead.
Right.
I just think as Muslims, we have to aspire for more of our culture and tradition. And we have to aspire more from learning from our history and our people and our way of thinking and our ilm al-nafs, which is the study of the ego. And it has to come from us and our scholars and not from somewhere else.
Right.
So I think maybe that's why I'm a little too strict with it. And also, I know too much about Sigmund Freud. I'm sorry, you can't change I know too much about him.
Right.
You just can't change my mind. Does that make sense?
No, a
But
million
I
percent.
see where you're coming from. Like,
a million percent.
see, this is with some of the things that I've also changed on. I handle therapy with a lot more grace than I used to. I do. I used to be like, as a man, if you go to therapy, you're gay. But now I'm like, I get it. I see why you went. But like, maybe don't.
No, and it's beautiful that you have your view, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful that, you know, we're able to, like you said, speak about it and be open about it. Again, like you have your view, I have mine.
Yeah.
And I love, you know, I always ask, because I love when people speak about the universe and they speak about God and all that. What is your conversation with God?
Ooh, a lot of humility. A lot of humility. So much. It's so interesting. I have this mixed combination of an eagerness and timidness and shyness. I think God is the only time I feel shy, you know? So I approach him with, like, I'm so excited to go pray, but also I'm like, I'm so nothing without you. Like, thank you for allowing me the honor to be on my knees praying to you. So my conversation with God is always just Alhamdulillah. And I always ask him for a prayer where I'm like, El Faraj min indak ya Allah. Because my dad would always be like, you're asking for something so trivial from the man, astaghfirullah. I always personify Allah, but I think sometimes it's our simple brains trying to make it make sense, you know? But you're asking Allah, who can give you anything. Like, and my dad once was praying and he was saying something along the lines of, if Allah gives you, does it take away anything from him? No. You know what I mean? It changes your world, but that's nothing to God. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just always saying Alhamdulillah, always. It's an extreme amount of gratitude. And I always say Faraj min indak ya Allah. So I don't limit, which means an opening from you. Like, make it an opening, like signed, stamped, and delivered from you by you. You know what I mean? Because I don't like to limit the blessings that God can bestow upon me. You know?
I love that.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
No, I love God. I love God so much.
You're exactly what I thought, and a million times more. I appreciate you so much. I know how busy you are. I know, you know, you're changing the world, and I hope you can see that. No, you are, and you're making us think, which we need, right? And you're a really beautiful soul. Like, just sitting with you 2 hours, getting to know you. I mean, even before that, it's beautiful. I appreciate
you so much for having me. I really appreciate you. I know you're being really nice about this. We have been planning this for a very long time. I kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
I know you're busy.
I'm
You have
sorry
stuff
about
to
that.
do.
Also, can I also say something? I wasn't too keen on being a guest on people's podcasts because, and not, this has nothing to do with you because I didn't know you before, but people before, I was excited, you know, people want to talk to me, spread the word more, have a nice intellectual conversation. But then people just twisted my words for clickbaity things and whatever. And I don't mind. Do what you need to do to get the views, but don't change what I said. This is where we have a fundamental problem. So I just got, you know, I got a little discouraged, but I'm so happy I came.
Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I'm glad I came with this mentality. 6 months ago, I was a little more strict.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, 6 months ago, it was you're gay if you go to therapy. It was. Today, it's no, I understand, but I'm more
That's
Muslim.
beautiful.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
Can you tell everyone where they can find you? Can you give them your...
My name is Layla Saleh, but it's Layla K Saleh on Instagram. My podcast is called Conversations with My Conscience. I film with my dad. You hear him, but you don't see him. He's like the voice of God. And we talk about everything life related, relationships, your parents, work, everything, but through an Islamic lens. And just to remind people to have a relationship with God and that they can. And no one can stop you from having a relationship with God. So that's where you can find me on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say thank you to Aura for hosting us, for giving us your space, the beautiful space, amazing coffee. Thank you guys so much. And I'm sure you're going to be on here again.
Inshallah, I would love to.
There's a lot more that I need to talk to you. So
you should come on mine and we discuss conspiracy theories.
Oh my God, I'll be so
That'll be a fun
I'll
time.
be canceled
Me
for
too.
sure. I'll be canceled
Same.
within 1 second. Be like, oh good.
They're gonna be like this one.
But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.